Okay. I'm going to try and do it without the weird high-pitched thing.
You mean your voice?
I got called squeaky when I was in school.
That explains.
I thought my voice had got deeper by then, though.
Well, clearly not. You're listening to DevDecoder podcast. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at DevDecoder.
You can email us using podcast@devdecoder.com.
Or check out our website at devdecoder.com. Welcome to the DevDecoder podcast, episode 2. I'm here with Craig.
And
Introduce yourself, Craig.
Introduce myself? Hi, I'm Craig. I'm the Chief Executive of Web Applications UK, and I'm here with my dedicated PR assistant, Raquel.
I'm going with Raquel today.
Raquel, yeah.
Interesting. He won't let me call him Dean for some reason.
Yeah, it's an obvious reason. That's what I got called at school. You know, I'm either Mr. Dean or Craig. I prefer
Dean.
Craig. Dino's okay.
Dino Bino.
Or Deanie.
So basically, Craig can call anybody else what they want, but nobody else can call Craig Dean.
It's not Dean, just because it sounds like you're a teacher or something.
Dean.
Yeah.
What are these? What's that in school?
They just call you by your last name.
Yeah, but wasn't there something in school where they were called Dean?
Yeah, the dean of a school
who's that?
is the head.
Oh.
So dean of a faculty is the leader.
Boring.
Yeah. But obviously spent a lot of time in schools.
Not in uni.
This is true. So there's a big debate going on in the US about, obviously they have the Air Force and they have the Army, otherwise known as the Ground Force, and they have the Navy, otherwise known as the Sea Force, and so now they want a Space Force. So they've got air, ground, sea and space.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so this is
no. Sounds pretty lame.
It does sound pretty lame. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm from a generation where... I mean, did you know, for example, that Kennedy reached out to the Russians at the start of the 60s to say that he was willing to work with them to put men into space and put a man on the moon?
No.
Of course, he was assassinated. And then the space race... He's most famously known for his speech, "We will do this and the other thing," meaning going to space.
I think he's more famous for getting shot.
Yeah. Well, no, he's quite famous for his "ask not what you can do, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country" speech, which is when you announce the space race and all the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm from a time really where, you know, space was seen as a collaborative international thing and should be a collaborative international thing. It's increasingly now becoming yet another nationalistic thing. And I mean, Trump, of course, who's not famous for being nationalistic, hashtag sarcasm, is now jumping on the Space Force bandwagon, and it's quite scary, really. I think the idea of war in space. He's certainly talking about, you know, space is a frontier for war and important.
I mean, the real question here is whether we actually did go to space.
We did go to space.
How do you know?
Well, for start, did you know they left mirrors on the moon that you can shine a laser at and time how long it takes a laser beam to get to space and bounce back?
How do you know?
Because you can shine the laser at the...
Have you ever tried it?
No, but lots of people have done. Lots of people have done. It's also you know, like, we can be fairly sure the Earth is round as well. I've not actually I have been high enough that I can see the curvature. If you go in a plane, you can actually see the curvature.
Could be flat though, couldn't it? Could fall off the end.
But it isn't. And no, it couldn't, for all kinds of really good physics.
You need to have an open mind about these sort of things, Craig.
I do have an open mind, but I also believe that, you know, you shouldn't just argue that black is white for the sake of it. You should. But I mean, I my vision of space was always of, like, hopefully I hope by my age, because I grew up during, you know, Challenger shuttle launches and stuff like that. And I grew up in a time where, you know, we were going into space more regularly, and I always felt that space was going to be a place that by now we could go visit. And same with, like, Virgin, you know, and obviously now SpaceX, it keeps feeling like we're always just on that brink of, you know, commercialising space and it being a frontier for us to go as humanity, not as individual nations.
If you had the option to go to space right now, would you do it?
What, today?
Yeah.
It depends on how. I mean, if it was in a super advanced alien spaceship came down and said, "Oh, let's go," I'd probably jump at the chance. Going up, for example, on a SpaceX Dragon capsule, maybe less so because it's not been tested yet. So, well, yeah, I would love to go into space. I think it is the future. I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that I kind of hope now that, you know, I kind of hope that by now we'd be able to like just go up in space quite regularly and, you know, go stay in hotels in space and stuff like that.
Oh my god.
Go see a movie and, you know, things like that. Well, if you think about it, it's only 20 or 30 miles out of the atmosphere till you're actually, you know, really in space. It's closer than like a trip into Manchester and stuff like that in terms of distance.
Is it?
But is it? Yeah, it is. That's why satellites are such a good technique because they're actually so close.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You watch a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek.
I do watch a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek. I've been to some space-themed restaurants in the past, but they had no atmosphere. Boom, boom! Dad joke!
And that is now going to be the title of this episode.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be a good one. Zero atmosphere.
You just think of that right now.
Yeah.
God, I've literally got 2 dad jokes ready and you just stole it from me.
You're not a dad. I'm not a dad either. But there you go.
Technically you are a dad because you've got 2 dogs.
I've got 2 dogs.
So I've just noticed something, Craig. So all Craig will wear is black. It's our uniform and now...
See, the dogs are literally sitting there and like...
Yeah, but it's natural. Okay. That was B. She was wanting to make an input. So Craig's actually got a blue tie on today, and I don't think I've ever seen him wear a blue tie.
It's quite a bright blue tie,
it
isn't
is.
it?
What's that about, Craig?
Well, this morning, it is funny you should ask, because this morning we're at Gallery Oldham, where the Kingfisher School have launched a new exhibition called Colour Splash. I caught up with Nick whilst I was there and I asked a few questions about it. I'm here with a good friend of mine. We've known each other for quite a while, haven't we, Nicola? Can you just tell us who you are and what you do?
Okay. My name is Nick Found. I'm the Director of Creative Learning at the Kingfisher School in Oldham. So I get to do lots of magic with these wonderful children that we have at school.
Do you want to tell everyone where we are today?
Yeah, we're at Gallery Oldham, which is a great venue, great gallery that we've been using for a number of years now. We applied to put an exhibition together of children's artwork in the community gallery. So I did the application on behalf of the children, sent in some photographs of the children working, doing their artwork, and we were accepted to put an exhibition together. That was this time last year, and it's come round really quickly. So we made the artwork a few weeks back. It was the name of the gallery exhibition is called Colour Splash, and it's all about how the children respond to colour and mark making, and how they want to interpret what's in front of them. And a lot for our children, it's a very sensory experience. So we scented the paint. So, for instance, if we were using red, it smelled of strawberries. If we were using yellow, it smelled of lemons. And we basically, just let the kids go for it. We filmed the process, took photographs. Children were mark making with fingers and feet, smearing paint on their heads. Lots of lovely ways of working, and then from that I did a lot of printmaking, and this collection of work that's here today is the result of the project.
So I think a lot of people think of IT and technology and think that's just for brainy, nerdy kids sat in a corner. And how does IT help and technology help at Kingfisher?
Okay, so we rely massively on it for various reasons. Some of our children are communication users, so they use a communication aid to speak through. So it might be a screen that's attached to their wheelchairs, and they can access it from eye gazing, or they can access it from switch, and they may operate that switch using their head or their knee, and they will be able to hold a conversation with somebody who they're engaging with. For some of our children on the autistic spectrum, we use a lot of ICT as an engagement, and we find that those children tend to be incredibly good with technology. They can get themselves all over the place on an iPad, for instance, and it helps to aid their learning. We also use eye gazing technology at school for some of our children who are struggling to access with their fingers and hands on a switch or a mouse. So they use their eyes, and again, that's been an incredible technology for us to use. So it's a very important tool for us at Kingfisher, and especially for the children and their accessing as well.
So I know that on occasion you've brought some of your children up to web applications to spend some time with.
Yes, we have. That's been an amazing project for the kids to actually get out of school, get into an office, and Web Apps is a brilliant building. Staff are fab and really take us on board. We've actually been in the offices where you can write on the walls, and the children thought that was hilarious, so they did write on the walls. And then we made some series of artworks all based on spiders' webs it was. And it always tickles me that one of our children with autism was undoing the nuts and bolts on the chairs, which was quite amusing. But again, I think it's about us getting our kids out into the community, about people just getting to know them, because they are the most amazing set of children, and their ability to do whatever they want to do is out there. So I think it's a very important thing to have this sort of community networking going between school and businesses like yourselves.
So when is this show on until, and how can people come and get involved?
I think we've got it on for 6 weeks. So pop down to the gallery. It doesn't open on a Sunday, but it is Monday to Saturday. I think it's 10 till 5. Just pop down to the gallery, get to the community space, and just have a look at the work. Just watch the video that's there, which kind of shows how the children have connected. Leave us a message on the visitors board. Tell us what you thought of the project, and just enjoy what the children have been making.
That's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I found something today, and it's called Power Up, and it's a retro games festival coming to Manchester. So they have the SNES. They said the SNES, not also the NES, which just proves that they're the same and they're not any different because they only have the SNES.
I've got to now get you a NES and a SNES so you can see the difference.
Can I keep them?
No.
Well, obviously a Power Up just believe they're the same because they've only brought one of them.
You're not selling this festival.
Anyway, so they have like Sega Dreamcast.
A Dreamcast? Yeah, Crazy Taxi. Best game.
Oh no, is that Sega Dreamcast?
Yes.
I've got that on my phone,
Is it on the phone now?
It's on the phone. I was playing it like last week.
No way.
Honestly, I'm just like...
I need to get that. And play it.
It's really good. I always have... What was he called? He had a Hawaiian shirt on.
Yeah, I can't...
Crazy Joe.
I've not played it in, 19 years or so.
Crazy Joe was the man.
So
he was the best.
Nearly 20 years ago, I think it was. I think it was end of the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, must have been. See, that's my type of game.
I loved that
Crazy
game when it was out. I did love playing
it. They even have like the BBC Micro.
Yes, the computer that got me into...
There you go. And then like household names like the PS4, Xbox. So it's going to be at the Museum of Science and Industry.
Mozzie's our favourite.
It is. We have Hatmanchester there, don't we?
Yeah. Which consoles does it have?
So it has this... You're going to make me do this again.
160. It's bound to have a NES there.
It doesn't have a NES.
How do you know? It's only listed a few of the consoles. It's not listed all 160. You've not checked the whole list of 160.
They haven't put the whole list.
Exactly. Right? So how do you know it doesn't have a NES?
I'm telling you now, it will not have a NES.
Bet it has
because
a NES.
You know why? A SNES and a NES are the same thing.
They're not the same.
They are. They're exactly the same. It's only going to have one of them, and that's the SNES.
Anyway, we're going to have to go along, find the NES and prove you wrong.
SNES. I think you mean SNES.
There'll be a Nintendo Entertainment System.
There won't.
There will be.
There won't.
There'll be one there. Put money on it.
So stay tuned for this when I prove Craig wrong.
This is on. You're absolutely on.
I'm always wrong, so that means... No, it's going to be just a SNES.
I don't know if you saw, but this last week, Google did a demonstration. It's caught a lot of attention on the internet. It's called Google Duplex. And what it was is their new Google Assistant that allows Google Assistant to make phone calls on your behalf. To do things like book appointments, etc. And it talks to... Have you not seen this? You absolutely should see
I've seen the Google Assistant. Is this a little robot?
Well, this is just a voice thing. So it'll make a phone call for you and it will talk to the person on the other end of the line.
Oh, hell no.
And it goes like, yeah, and all the rest of it. Sounds like a human being.
I feel like we've had so many warnings so far about robots taking over the world, and we're still going down that route. Like, just stop.
We all want to see that T1000, don't we?
I just feel like we're going to end up dying. The whole world, robots are going to take over.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but Stephen Hawking, before he died, was saying very carefully that AI, and also Elon Musk, have both come out and said, AI is a real serious threat to us as a society unless we start thinking about it now, about what we're going to do about it. So I do think AI can be quite frightening if it's not properly controlled, managed and thought through.
Haven't they had to destroy a robot somewhere because it was doing its own thing?
On a cinema screen, yeah.
Was that what it was? No, it wasn't on a cinema screen.
Lots of movies.
No, I swear, somewhere they had to destroy a robot because...
Are you thinking War Games? 1984 classic.
No, it was real. Hang on. Destroy.
Matthew Broderick, I think it was.
It wasn't. It was real.
Played a tic-tac-toe himself and got confused.
Yeah, see, robots are learning to disobey humans, saying no. So it's asked it to do something, and it said, no, I'm not doing that. It's the beginning of the end.
Was it asking if you want fries with that? And you went, yes, and it goes, no.
Yeah, don't do. I had 2 donuts today.
You've had 2?
Yeah, 2 Nutella donuts.
I may also have had 2 donuts today, but it is National Donut Day.
I think it's Donut Week, isn't it?
A whole week?
What? Donuts every day?
So today we're with Salim. Salim, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Salim, working at web apps since last July. I'm an IP student.
Oh, what's an IP student? Not everybody will understand.
Sure, so I'm doing this as part of my degree. So it's a 4-year computer science degree course, and I've done 2 years, and then for my 3rd year I'm doing 12 months of industrial placement. After that I go back to uni for my final year.
How long have you been here at Web Apps?
So 11 months, nearly 11 months, yeah.
You had some good news today, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I got offered an extension to work until end of August, and also the opportunity to come back after I finish my degree.
Yay!
Well done. Congratulations. I guess the most important question is, why should anyone do an IP year?
Yeah, good question. It's because it's a different perspective. You work at uni, you just do the things that everyone else is doing, and you just sort of go with the flow, just do what you're told, and you may not do anything outside of that. But when you're working at a company, you understand why things are done and how they're done and how to get things done as well. Different to uni, definitely, yeah.
Do you think it's going to help your employability chances?
Of course. I imagine that's one of the things the employers look at when they're trying to hire someone, is that are they going to be someone who we can rely upon to get things done? Are they going to be someone who's going to enjoy working at a company? And also, are they going to be fit for our company? So, yeah, definitely.
How much do you think you've learned since you've been here?
It's hard to put it into any kind of measurable. So many things every day that you learn, and the more you learn, the more you realize that there's just so much more to learn.
Is that exciting?
It is exciting, yeah. If you enjoy learning, if you enjoy growing and becoming a better person, or like we said, developer, then yes, it's definitely exciting. It's like if you're hungry for knowledge, of course it's exciting.
So what would you say to somebody who wasn't sure if they wanted to do an industrial placement?
Like, from where I come from, it's very common to not know what you want to do. You grow up and you just do what everyone else is doing, and you get very little chance to explore your interests and see what you're good at. So I guess if I'm talking to those type of people where they're not sure what they want to do, just try different things, give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? By doing the placement here, you not only get to learn things, but you get to learn things about yourself, what you may be able to improve upon, what other areas that you may not have thought about that you get to think about. It's a lot to get out from a placement year. Definitely recommend it.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Salim.
Thank you.
My final topic is going to be on the Telegram ban in Russia.
The banning Telegram.
Yeah, Telegram.
No, Telegram. It's like a WhatsApp, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a WhatsApp equivalent.
So I love Telegram because because I'd never had it, and then I used to work on a cruise
Then Russia
ship.
banned it, and you went, whoa.
And obviously, like, Wi-Fi on the cruise ship is really expensive. And what we found was that if Telegram was connected to the Wi-Fi but you weren't logged in, you could still use it. So I could message everyone from like back home on the ship. We could just talk to each other, and then the ship found out and banned it.
Oh.
And I nearly cried.
So was Telegram pre-WhatsApp or post-WhatsApp?
I think it was post WhatsApp.
So how did you end up using Telegram and not WhatsApp? 'Cause see, I think Telegram kind of passed me by. I did know vaguely about it, but WhatsApp seemed to be the thing everyone uses. Is that just because WhatsApp's very popular in the West? And I know that there's different services in different countries that are more popular.
See, I don't use Telegram now. The only reason why we used it was that we didn't have to pay to use the internet to message people.
Yeah.
So it just bypassed it all, and then obviously they found out and had to ban it.
I think for our listeners, the key bit here was you spent all your time on a cruise ship. So yeah, Russia's banning it, and they're banning it probably because the encryption, the end-to-end encryption. I assume it uses end-to-end encryption just like WhatsApp.
Yeah, but Telegram are saying that they don't have access to the encryption keys that they need.
Yes, they don't.
So now they're banning it, but isn't that just bullying if you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is WhatsApp's in the same boat, really. So, and Apple are, because I believe their latest messages also uses end-to-end encryption. The idea is that these systems exchange keys and give either client the key, but at that point, nobody can decrypt the messages between the two devices but the two devices. There's no way of decrypting them. So, well, there's no theoretical way of decrypting them quickly enough. Because of the way decryption works, and under current technology, before quantum computing becomes a thing, which is already becoming a thing. So even then, I'm very heavily caveating this. A lot of the standard encryptions that we're now using are susceptible to quantum computing algorithms, and the point is at the moment that the security services and countries can't intercept. They can intercept the messages, but they can't decrypt them, and they can't see what's actually being communicated.
But now
you can normally tell that two endpoints are talking to each other. So that's not always the case, but you can sometimes figure out that, for example, you and I are having a conversation, although we don't know what that conversation is. Even that, though, there are systems that can circumvent that as well, that can prevent you from knowing who it is that's talking.
But then now they're obviously trying to shut it down, and now it's just affecting the internet. I think like half of their internet's down in Russia. Mm-hmm. It's disrupting like other companies, because I think it said Telegram is just bouncing from IP address to IP address, so they can't ban them. And it's just, do they have the right to ban them because they won't give them what they want?
Well, this is an interesting one, isn't it? There's two questions, isn't there? Do you have the right and do you have the means?
How do you know that the means are the actual reason why they want to do it? Are they telling the truth? Is that why?
Well, no, by means I mean, are you capable of banning it? So, for example, it's like the dark web, right? You can try and shut it down, but is it possible? Because of the way it's architected, it's not necessarily possible for you to shut it down without massively disrupting the way the whole internet works. And it's the same kind of thing you're talking about with Telegram. By shifting the IP addresses constantly, you then have to keep chasing after those IP addresses and blocking them, and that's not necessarily easy to do, but you can create enough disruption for end users and for the clients that they decide themselves to stop using Telegram because it's no longer as convenient. But then the question that you're asking, which is, do they have the right to do it? Well, any nation state or any civilization chooses to put people in some kind of authority to govern how we work together as a society, don't we? Okay, so every society fundamentally decides how to organize itself, and normally they decide to give the centralize or distribute decision-making authority so that certain decisions are made collectively for the society. So, for example, deciding where roads get laid and these things are not something you can do as an individual. You have to work together to achieve, right? Well, the same thing for the internet. We as a society have to decide how we want the internet to be. Now, in the same way, Ajit Pai, the FCC, Federal Communications Commission director in the US, recently put through legislation to repeal net neutrality. And actually, ironically, is currently now blocking it because arguably, debatably, some people have alleged because it's to support his corporate overlords, but whatever. The FCC largely control ISPs, internet service providers, and effectively through them the internet in the US. Right? They regulate that. They're put there by people who voted for the Congress and the Senate appoint the FCC. Well, the president appoints the chairman of the FCC, and they're there to decide as a society how we use the internet together. Okay? The problem is the internet's bigger than one country, and there isn't any mechanism other than the United Nations for governance of global entities like the internet, and the UN doesn't really govern the internet. You can take out individual parts of the internet, but the internet carries on working because it's not dependent on any centralized command and control. So you can't just take out one server somewhere and the whole internet goes down. That's the principle of it. And that's simplification, because there are things there are some pretty important servers that if you take them down, makes the internet currently very susceptible to outages and all the other kind of stuff, because if you take out some of the main domain controls and stuff like that, it can get quite difficult.
But they could take down an app.
Well, not for the same reasons I was just saying. you can, but you could, for example, put pressure on Apple App Store to take down the app. People could still get their hands on the app through other illegitimate means, jailbroken iPhones and stuff like that, for example. The point is that if someone's determined enough, it's very hard to stop them.
That's what I mean. So banning Telegram, if people are going to use it and they want to use it, they'll find a way to use it. Yeah,
there's ways that you could always get around, just like the dark net exists. It's effectively banned. I think that was a really interesting podcast this week. I really enjoyed going to Kingfisher and to the Gallery in Oldham. There's something remarkable about seeing what those young people can produce despite all the disadvantages they have. I can't encourage people enough to get along and see it if they have the opportunity over the next few weeks. What were your highlights out of the podcast?
My highlight was speaking to Salim and finding out how much he's got out of his industrial placement year.
Yeah, I think that's, really, really good to hear from someone who's just come to the end of their IP year about what an impact it's had on him. We've got a lot of IPs that come here. I can't encourage people who are on graduate programs or are undergraduates at the moment who have got the opportunity to go on an IP year and are considering whether or not to do it. They should absolutely 100% go for it. Massively increases their employability chances, but can gain huge invaluable experience about the career they're trying to get themselves into. So yeah, it was great to hear that off him. What are you looking forward to in the next week?
Speaking to more people, obviously.
You like talking to people, don't you?
I do. Making fun of you.
Learning. Definitely more learning.
More learning.